Well, we're 9 weeks into the Biden administration, and man, it's been a rough week, y'all. After 64 days with no press conference, Biden finally held one on Thursday. So let's just recap that, shall we? Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was looking forward to the shouting over one another and bombarding him with Spitfire questions to get him all discombobulated. But I should have known that they would cover him. It's been reported that Biden was given a picture book with the reporters' pictures and affiliations on them, and had the privilege to have silence while he picked and chose who to call on, which makes sense to why Peter Doocy and others got disregarded.
I'm just curious about this list that he is given. So the only member of the 5-network pool never on it, dating back to when he resumed in-person events in Wilmington during the end of the campaign.
Well, I would say that I'm always happy to have this conversation with you, even about your awesome socks you're having on today, you wearing today, and have a conversation with you, even when we disagree. The president's taken your questions, and I'm looking forward to doing Fox News Sunday this Sunday for the third time in the last few months.
Okay, Jen, we'll move on, but trust, I'ma circle back. The first question that was asked was, with so much pushback from the GOP, how does Biden plan to solve problems such as immigration reform, gun control, voting rights, and climate change, and keep his promises to American people?
Many of you thought there was no possibility of my getting the plan I got passed without any Republican votes. Pretty big deal. Got passed. Growing the economy. People's lives are changing. So let's see what happens. All I know, I've been hired to solve problems, not create division.
Joe, please don't flatter yourself. That bill was flooded with division and reckless spending, and not one Republican voted yes. The bill didn't pass because it was good. The bill passed because GOP is outnumbered. As conservatives, you are supposed to believe in conservation. Our nation's debt is at roughly $28 trillion in counting, and a $900 billion relief package was just signed into law 3 months ago, and all that money hasn't even been spent. So where is the money? This bill had very little to do with actually combating the coronavirus itself. $130 billion to be given to schools K through 12, with $81 billion being released on March 24th. But many of these schools are not even open. So where is that money? A minimum wage of $15 is also divisive, because that will kill more jobs and squash our small businesses and put more Americans in positions to depend solely on the government's handouts. Oh, but wait, that's what y'all really want, ain't it? And it's evident because the bill issues another round of stimulus money, a boost in unemployment benefits, and an extra child care credit. But still, no word on when we can reopen and go back to work. But let's move on.
Okay. How about Yamiche?
The second question was, even though Joe Biden has said over and over again, do not come to the U.S. at this time, immigrants have still chosen to flood the border because they consider Joe Biden to be a moral and nice guy. And despite Title 42, they are still coming over and being allowed to stay. How do you pick and choose which families can stay? And when will we expect to see a decrease in these holding facilities?
If you take a look at the number of people who are coming, the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of people coming to the border and crossing are being sent back. We're trying to work out now with Mexico their willingness to take more of those families back. But that's what's happening. They're not getting across the border. And those who are coming across the border who are unaccompanied children, we're moving rapidly to try to put in place what was dismantled. So what we're doing is we're providing for the space, again, to be able to get these kids out of the Border Patrol facilities, which no one should be in any longer than 72 hours. For example, I used all the resources available to me, went to the Defense Department, And the Secretary of Defense has just made available 5,000 beds in the Texas border. So we're building back up the capacity that should have been maintained and built upon, that Trump dismantled. The only people we're not going to let sitting there on the other side of the Rio Grande by themselves with no help are children. If an unaccompanied child ends up at the border, we're just going to let them starve to death and stay on the other side. No previous administration did that either, except Trump. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. That's why I've asked the Vice President of the United States yesterday to be the lead person on dealing with focusing on the fundamental reasons why people leave Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador in the first place.
Yes, Joe, this is true, that you are telling immigrants not to come yet at this time and are sending individuals back. However, it's a little bit too late now. In 2019, during presidential debates, you said the United States is a country that tells people struggling under oppression or poor conditions, you should come.
What I would do as president is several more things, because things have changed. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are.
As you advocated for a more open asylum policy, which is why many migrants are coming with this mindset.
What I want for my people, I just want patience and pace that we can get to the U.S. because they're having a new president, where's Biden. He's going to help all of us. He's given us 100 days to get to the U.S. and give us legal mental paper so we can get a better life for our kids and family.
And now, with the threat of COVID and not being prepared, you are telling individuals that have already made it to the border or are still in process of getting to the border to not come. The amnesty that you are giving to minors and family with minors is why so many children are showing up unaccompanied. The result of this has our facilities crowded, children separated from their parents, and being held far past the 72 hours allowed by law. Not all of the children are sleeping in beds. Some families are left under the freeway until processed and are living in the same conditions as they were under Trump. As you use Title 42, which allows the U.S. to halt entry to protect public health, the same thing under Trump, with the exception of children, and Mexico won't even take them back. So please tell me how you are different from the Trump administration and your best person that you have in this fight, and to bring some understanding as to why they're fleeing in the first place is Kamala Harris. Okay, let's see what her plans are.
Do you have plans to visit the border?
Not today, but I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
Exactly. Moving on.
Okay, Kristen.
The question that is asked is, will you commit to reporters having access at the border for transparency?
I will commit to transparency, and as soon as I am in a position to be able to implement what we're doing right now. And one of the reasons I haven't gone down, I have all my chief folks have gone down, is I don't want to become the issue. I don't want to be, bringing all the Secret Service and everybody with me to get in the way. So this is being set up, and you'll have full access to everything once we get this thing moving.
Okay, just to be clear, how soon will that be, Mr. President?
I don't know.
Sorry, let me interject. Sir, when will you not have entourage around you as the President of the United States? So based on that logic, when will you go? Trump happened to make it down to the border on numerous occasions. So why can't you? This is supposed to be the administration that is going to give us all the most transparency. But you still have yet to let our reporters go down and cover what's going on at the border. Kamala Harris, who you have over immigration, laughs it off and clearly has no time frame on when she will go either. So this sounds pretty hush-hush to me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm feeling a little left out of the American circle.
You bear responsibility for everything that's happening at the border now. I hear you talking a lot about the past administration. Did you move too quickly to roll back some of the executive orders of your predecessor?
First of all the policies that are underway were not helping at all. Did not slow up the amount of immigration and as many people coming.
Oh, let me get in here again. First off, the policies that Trump had in place did not slow up immigration. Duh. Slowing down immigration is not the focus. No one has an issue with immigration. The issue we have is illegal immigrants getting in. What Trump was developing was going to eliminate the issue of immigrants sneaking over. As the Heritage Foundation lays out, our lawmakers must respect the law, and immigration is no exception. Failure to enforce our immigration laws is unfair to those who obey the law and follow the rules to enter the country legally. Those who enter and remain in the country illegally should not be rewarded with legal status or other benefits. When politicians condone such behavior, they only encourage further illegal conduct. You're trying to reason and accommodate them. $700 million to corrupt governments to fight illegal immigration is not necessary nor beneficial if we are still having immigration issues. Just eliminate the threat, which is our open borders. Now, let's move on.
Okay, hang on a second here. Kristen, Nancy, CBS?
The next question was Republicans are working extra hard to pass voter legislation. Are you worried that if they are successful, that this will impact votes and you will lose seats and control in 2022?
What I'm worried about is how un-American this whole initiative is. It's sick. It's all designed, and I'm going to spend my time doing three things. One, trying to figure out how to pass the legislation passed by the House, number one. Number two, educating the American public. The Republican voters I know find this despicable. So I'm convinced that we'll be able to stop this because it is the most pernicious thing. This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
And people still don't think Joe is a racist SOB. What the Republicans are advocating is voter legislation, which includes a few of the following. Absentee ballots only for people who request them. ID is required to request an absentee ballot. Drop boxes are only placed in polling locations. No more private funding from organization. Takes elections oversights away from the Secretary of State. State legislator can step in and override a local jurisdiction if there is allegations of fraud. Jim Crow laws were denying African Americans the right to vote, hold jobs, get an education, or other opportunities. Those who attempted to defy Jim Crow laws often faced arrest, fines, jail sentences, violence, and death. And you think these current voter laws are worse than when African Americans even were allowed to vote at all. And you wonder why we call you Jim Crow Joe. Let's move on before I cuss you out.
Justin Sink, Bloomberg.
The next question was the U.S.'s relationship with China. Will Joe continue to apply tariffs, ban some imports, and cut off access to the international pay systems?
What I've told him in person on several occasions, that we're not looking for confrontation, although we know there will be steep competition. Two, that we'll have strong competition, but we'll insist that China play by the international rules. Fair competition. fair practices, fair trade. Thirdly, in order to compete effectively, I indicated that we're going to deal with China effectively. And we're going to need three things to do that. I'm telling our people. First, we're going to invest in American workers and American science. I said that all through the campaign. I say it again, and I'm setting up my administration to be able to do that. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to reestablish our alliances, and I've been very clear with them. It's not anti-Chinese, and we've talked about it. I met with our allies and how we're going to hold China accountable in the region. Australia, India, Japan, and the United States, the so-called Quad. Because we have to have democracies working together. We are going to hold China accountable to follow the rules. I pointed out to him, no leader can be sustained in his position or her position unless they represent the values of the country. And I said, Mr. President, as I've told you before, Americans value the notion of freedom. America values human rights. And as long as you and your country continues to so blatantly violate human rights, we are going to continue in an unrelenting way to call to the attention of the world and make it clear what's happening. With China, China has an overall goal, and I don't criticize them for the goal, but they have an overall goal to become the leading country in the world, the wealthiest country in the world, and the most powerful country in the world. That's not going to happen on my watch.
But Joe, it already is happening on your watch. Your first freedom to navigate on the SS McCain through the China Southern Seas, you was met with adversity, and China told you to turn around. And what did you do, Joe? You turned around. China has completely stripped the Uyghurs of basic human rights and dignity, and this is what you said.
I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
You're right that China has a plan to be the biggest and baddest in the world, and you're still trying to negotiate with them instead of competing with them. When are you going to crack down on China? When they release genocide on us? How can we trust you to do the right thing when it comes down to America, when you are so accommodating of Xi Jinping? The next question was on gun control. With the recent shooting in Georgia and Colorado and here recently in Virginia, how will you be handling gun control? Will you be sending manufacturers' liability bill to Congress? Will you be creating actions going after ghost guns and giving money to cities to go after guns all the time?
All the above. It's a matter of timing. And I'll be announcing it Friday in Pittsburgh in detail, is to rebuild the infrastructure, both physical and technological infrastructure of this country, so that we can compete and create significant numbers of really good paying jobs.
Wait, what? Wait, who asked him about infrastructure? Joe, we asked you about guns. Joe, can we please get back on topic of gun control? Are you trying to take away our Second Amendment rights?
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Joe, one last question, Joe. Where's Hunter?